How's it going, everybody? You know, at one point, BeatTheBush was one of YouTube's biggest voices. He was racking up millions of views on videos about credit cards, frugal hacks to basically be thrifty and save, and financially independent, retire early or FIRE strategies. Look, I loved him, and if BeatTheBush, if you're watching this right now, I loved him. I mean, really, I got into the whole personal finance. My gateway drug, if you will, at least on YouTube, was BeatTheBush. I was looking for help, and you know, Google owns YouTube, and you know, probably YouTube is the second biggest search engine on the planet. Now that's starting to shift as we're getting into AI. But in terms of how-tos, right, I was looking, I was earning money, I just gone to the US, I was starting to work, and I didn't know what to do. You know, I was earning and spending, and I thought, I need to increase my personal finance knowledge. And along came BeatTheBush. I mean, he was legit. About almost 10 years ago at this point, he would have been the first person I would have saw online. And I just loved his information. It was so much value in every single video. But today, his channel looks completely different. Fewer uploads, lower views, and a quiet exit from the spotlight. So it begs the question, what happened to BeatTheBush? It started off, I mean, a lot of the stuff I watched on BeatTheBush, it was really how to live thriftily or frugal living hacks. And that's what I loved. You know, whether it was him talking about how he would, you know, use LED light bulbs as opposed to incandescents and swapping 60, things like that. You know, just not eating out, like the water hack about like just having a bottle of water when you're going out so you don't have to ask for water if you get dehydrated. Or just not, you know, just cutting back on things like that. Every little thing, even like the idea of not having a regular phone line, right? So he could save on his phone. There's just so many tips on how to live thrifty. I'm only just touching on a few points right there. But he would go through his whole, I remember his extreme budgeting video, and it was just incredible how he was living on $550 a month. It's crazy. And he was pretty close to, not in San Francisco, but he was in the Bay Area. So how he was doing that was just amazing. I mean, he was driving a Porsche, but of course it was an old Porsche, and he was fixing everything himself, more or less. And so, you know, he would offer these FIRE or financial independent retire early tips, like how you can retire early, and really just breaking down like his burn rate and reducing the expenditures per month. You know, that was absolutely incredible, like doing things himself, like doing his landscaping, learning to plumb, learning some skills, because again, he was an engineer, so he can do things. So learning all those skills. And I just, you know, I loved it, like with even the credit card optimization guides. I mean, 850 was the highest points you can get, and he was at 848. So, you know, you really trusted, because you could see him doing it in action. I just loved it. You know, every little tip that he was sort of giving at the statement date and the due date, that was the big one I took from him, right? The idea that you don't just pay on the due date, but if you pay on the statement date, you can essentially show that you've got zero balance, even though you're using your credit card, but it basically comes off as zero. So if you pay it before or by the statement date, then it goes to zero. So that was a big trick, not just the due date. So lots and lots of tips. And again, I loved his unique style. I loved, you know, he was so friendly, like it's like a friend almost. You're watching this friend, and very personable, very practical, and very relatable. I mean, you saw the plushies. That was the one thing, like in different videos, he'd have the little animal plushies on different sides, and he'd move them around, and it was kind of cool. I think about 11 years ago now, he was really starting off on YouTube around 2014. And honestly, like that first year or two, I mean, he was spiking, because you can look back and you can see some of the old clips. Now, again, if you just go back and you look through his YouTube for his early years, you can see how popular these early videos were. I mean, he was racking up hundreds of thousands on some views, even millions on some views. And they weren't just about personal finance. You know, some of them were on different topics. He would have stuff about Porsche, he'd have stuff about batteries, he'd have stuff about food, right? How to cook at home cheaper, etc. Just so many different things that he was interested in. Of course, being an engineer, he had his little scooter, he had his Porsche, he had a lot of things going on. But the main part that grabbed me was the personal finance aspect, the living, being thrifty, and everything like that. So look, his biggest videos most of them are pretty much the ones he did 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago at this point. Now, if you look at it today, I mean, the latest video, okay, it's a month ago, right? And then 2 months ago, and then 3 months ago, making about 4, and then 4 months, then that was only 1 video per month. Then 5 months ago, right, there were 4 videos. Then 6 months ago, 1 video. 7 months ago. So some months he makes only 1 video, some months he makes about 4 videos. But it's definitely a drop in the, and you can see the numbers here. I mean, they're great numbers, don't get me wrong, like 2,000, 5,000, etc. But relative to his earlier years, right? If we're looking here in 2022, I mean, okay, that was like 2,000, but it was only 4 days ago. That's almost 10,000. That's about 7, 3, 2.5. But look, like 50, like, 15,000, 17,000, 14,000, 25,000, 12,000. They're coming up a lot more. Now he has hit like 1439 here, 5.2, 5.7. But this is a few months ago, like almost a year ago. But you can kind of tell, like, if you even go to his most popular videos, right? Now there was, by the way, one where he made a video that really did go quite viral around about 11 months ago, 12 months ago. But if you look at like the oldest videos that he did, right, like 11 years ago, like 22,000, 34,000, 68,000, and that was because people were probably looking at like what did he do first, but 18, 53, and I know their legacy, I know he said time to do them, 41,000, 242,000, right, like 423,000, like huge amount of views. Let's see now. So he's got some that are small, but look, 12 million views, right? Like that's Joe Rogan territory. And then if you look at his most popular videos, okay, that was the one, 12 million, 6 million. But look at the years, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, 5 years ago, 9 years ago, 9 years ago, 7 years ago. So, that typically happens, like that your biggest ones are back then. I mean, some of the stuff are very, very cool, like how to fix like a broken CD, broken DVD, right, for cheap. Right, that was very cool. A lot of how-to guides, right? But there are some ones that are more recent, like I have noticed, like 2 years ago, 1 year ago, but pretty much most of the stuff that was huge numbers were basically the best part of a decade ago now. So again, this one I loved, like living extreme on $550 a month. This was a great one. Or how I saved 100% of my income. I just love that one too, because that was really like, crazy. Like, how do you do that? It was just incredible tricks. So I recommend, if you haven't, like, definitely check him out. I love his stuff. The credit card hacks one, this was brilliant. Like how to get a score of 848 out of 850. That one taught me an awful lot when I was trying to increase my credit score. I was kind of born in the US around about 2015, because essentially that's when I got my social security card. I'm an Irish citizen, came over to work then in 2015 for the last 10 years. So again, this was great from trying to boost my credit score. So this really was, Beat the Bush really did have, he was the OG in my mind for personal finance, and really did help me getting started. So, his recent uploads, I mean, he's doing some great stuff, but you can see here, they're about a month ago now. This is just current. So definitely the frequency has dropped somewhat. And I think that, still he's getting great views. I mean, you're seeing a few thousand views on these videos. But if you're someone that's used to tens of thousands of views, right, it can feel a little bit strange that, like, after working for 10, 11 years and having such incredible early success, it's definitely a quiet slowdown. And he does mention it in a few videos. No really completely official announcement. I mean, I really want to see more videos, because the value, I think people still need it. Like, there's still something more. I feel like he's still got a lot that he can share with us. It's just that there are fewer videos and less engagement. And guys, check him out. Like, if you haven't already seen Beat the Bush, really was the OG, one of the main guys starting off with the YouTube personal finance. Again, YouTube now is 20 years old at this point, but around about 11 years ago, the person I was, back then, the YouTube videos, like, it was basically replacing MTV to a certain extent. You had music videos. So I got into it, like, I started watching it anyway around 2007. And then it was just like, like YouTube videos were cat videos and, some kind of videos on music videos, right? Like, there's a lot of being able to watch music videos, right? Almost for free, right? And then gradually there were like a few things, like how-to guides sort of started coming out. But finance, he really was the OG, in my eyes, my estimation, of personal finance. And again, you could look at Google Trends, but there's not much there. And that kind of almost illustrates that he just doesn't have the search that he once had, a social blade too, to a certain extent. But his videos are still helping people. His old videos, his new videos, but especially the old ones, right? They're incredible. And he inspired countless viewers to get serious about saving and financial independence. And look, I'm one of those people that he inspired. If you're watching this Beat the Bush, please do more. This is just me. I think YouTube, we're trying to inspire each other. We're just trying to like help each other to a certain extent. And even if he's not uploading them as often, his legacy content continues to teach thousands of people. So I'd like to invite you guys to, like, were you a fan of Beat the Bush? Are you a fan of Beat the Bush? Do you think that he's going to make a comeback and, you know, maybe launch in the way that Graham Stephan or Meet Kevin did? I think because he inspired those guys, I think he would, because I know Meet Kevin has done videos on Beat the Bush and real estate and things like that. But I'd love to know your thoughts, right? Are you a fan? Is he going to make a comeback? Just drop your thoughts below. I would love to hear your theories.